and on some of my friends, they are online. So, so can you tell us about your class?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a course on religious diversity.
We have a chair here. You have a chair here behind? Yeah, we have a chair here. Go ahead. Go ahead, Evan. Miss Christie. Get the chair. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so that's our schedule. After meditation session, we have Buddhist section.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so please, can you?
So it's a course on religious diversity, and it's based off of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, the song, Won't You Be My Neighbor? And we're visiting temples, mosques, synagogues, and we're asking, because many of these students are going to be Christian ministers or leaders or therapists. What does it mean to be a good neighbor? So we've got readings from Christian theologians, Mr. Rogers, neighborhood episodes on television to watch, and yeah, Christian ethics, all asking about neighborhood.
Yeah. And Stephen, can you hear? And Stephen?
Yes, Mo Faktai, I can hear. Thank you.
Good. Yeah. So today is that up discussion about Buddhist text. So we can have the general question and this in the Q&A for you guys. Right. All right. So again, welcome all of you. So who are going to be pastor? Okay. Wow. You most done? Right.
Another year.
So how many years do you need to have the training to be pastor? You know, to be pastor, 4 years, 3 years. Okay. You need to take any license or just take the test. Depends. Any one of you are psychology here? Study psychology. Minor? Undergrad, okay. Okay, so that's great then. So who are the first one that been at the Buddhist center before? That's the first time that they've been Buddhist center. Wow, so many people. How about other who have been at the Buddhist center before? Where is that?
Our last class, and then I went to 1 or 2 prior before that.
Where is that?
Oh, I can't remember where, but our last class.
Around this one? Around this area?
Yeah.
How about you?
I went to a few in Western Massachusetts.
Where?
In Western Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
Variety of them.
Anyone? Anyone?
South Texas.
Oh, so in South Texas?
South.
In Houston?
Corpus Christi.
Oh, it's small, a big temple.
Very small.
Very small. Okay, so welcome all of you. Yes.
The Zen Center.
Where?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you guys surprised that we have this city here? Right. Okay. So probably some of you passed by here before, right? Who passed by here before? But have not come. You passed by here before? You passed by too? Thank you. So thanks for inviting your student to come here. So yeah. So again, at first I'd like to introduce myself. Let me share with you the screen. Okay, let's see here. Sorry, this is the not the screen here. I'm teaching at IUS. You guys know IUS, right? Yeah, and also I'm teaching at University of Houston. Research study here. Mainly I teach Buddhism, Asian religion, Buddhist meditation, and mindfulness practice. So most of the time I teach my student online. I go to Houston 4 times per semester to see them over there. The rest I talk with them on internet, on the Zoom and so forth. Yeah. And here our activities beside the religious activities. This is our new year. This is our new year. We invite. Oh, please come in. We have big crowd today. Yeah, come in. This is they are our member. Yeah, please come on. Yeah, get this. Yeah. How you been, Kaylee? Yeah, thank you. Please come in. Yeah, this is our activities here, and also this is our schedule for the year. This is our schedule for the year here. So we Friday we have meditation and Buddhist session, and on Saturday we have meditation again too, from 8 to 11, and short chanting. That's for English speaking groups, and we have after school program. So Sam is the one of the tutor here. So every student, local student, or some of my children who live here, so after school they come here to study. Yeah, and we have some community activities, so forth. Okay, all right. So let's go back to you. Today, I like to have Q&A about Buddhism. Right, so I like to open that Q&A for you guys. Okay. If you have any question about Buddhism, please let me know. Yes.
What is the building nearby with the same statues? It's either that direction or that direction. It looks like a house.
The other deities.
Yeah, that's probably there's a few temples around here, so it's
Oh,
probably
where's that?
It's
Which one?
very close to here. I don't
Oh,
know. It's like a
actually,
house,
yeah,
But it
yeah.
has the same statue up front.
Okay, I see. You see the some Buddhist statue in the front, right? Yeah, they belong to Buddhist center, but not.
Oh, so it's
We
different.
don't. Yeah, we know them, but we run independently. Yeah, in Buddhism, we have the freedom to practice and run our center independently. Even we have some connection too. Yes.
I was thinking that that place, which is on Crispin Road, that actually my neighbors. So it's the temple that she's talking about, so you're not actually in the same, that's what you're saying, that they're independent?
Yeah,
You're
mhm.
not in any way related to?
We don't
the same
relate, but
country?
we know each other. We know each other. That's all.
yeah,
So
they're still Buddhist, but they just
It's not-
not
they-
like
yeah.
directly like they're independently
Yeah,
run.
it's different from Catholicism. Yeah, they have we go for the hierarchy order, right? The vertical hierarchy order, right, from the top down. Then Buddhism is spread like democracy. So I want run independently unless we have some connection with our teacher, temple, Dhamma brother, or Buddhist friends and so forth. So we have a lot of freedom to move around. Any questions? Yes.
Can you tell us about the sand, is it the mandala?
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. Actually, Samandala, we don't do that. We just request a group of Tibetan monks. They came from southern India. They came here for a few days to do that Samandala for a few days. And according to their tradition, they're supposed to destroy it right after they're done. You know why? Let's say you draw some beautiful image, right? Of course, you want to put somewhere else on the wall or somewhere to keep them, right? But for the Buddhists, especially the Buddhist monk, after they're done with mandala, they get to destroy it because it represents impermanence principle. Nothing lasts forever, whether it's beautiful or ugly and so forth. Just the form will change by times. Nothing is permanent. That's why. Yeah, so actually, but we request them to do here so that we keep here for a while. This is second, actually, this is the third time that we have. The second one that we just erase out and gave the sand, called sand color to the Buddhists, whoever want to have the kind of blessing sand.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, any questions? Yes.
So what do the statues mean for you guys in your faith tradition in here and out in the courtyard?
Oh, okay. Well, yes, each statue represents something. So in the middle, you know, this historical Buddha, and the other two standing are the Buddha disciple. And if you see the two front on the front of the door of the temple, they are what they call Bodhisattva. Yeah, Bodhisattva is the Buddha to be. But in Buddhist view, especially in Mahai Buddhist tradition, we have 52 level of Bodhisattva. Everyone can be Bodhisattva. That means if we have others, we have ourselves and others, that's what we call Bodhisattva practice. Like you go to school, you can tutor your friends. You can tutor other students and so forth. That's what it's about. Okay, any question? No. Yes.
I have a question. What makes Vietnamese Buddhism different from other countries' Buddhism?
Ah, okay, that's a good question. Let me share with you the map. Okay, how Buddhism spread. Okay, let me share with you guys here the image here. Oops, sorry. Okay, you see, let's see here. I think this one is more clear. All right. Too small. Let's move down here. All right. Can you see? So here, let me see. Sorry, my eyesight is still blurry and the way. Okay, here, see Vietnam here, right? And here India. And here China, Tibet, and so forth, and South Asia. So basically, Buddhism spread many ways to the east and far east. So by land, you know, the Silk Road, and by sea from India go down here is the called maritime road. So Buddhism got to Vietnam around the 2nd century, and by sea. And of course, Buddhism spread to Tibet, China in the 1st and 2nd century too. And whenever Buddhism spread to different country, whichever area that Buddhism spread to, it adapt to the culture, tradition of that. We will not try to destroy the tradition. They just make the adaptation. That's why sometimes you may go to the Chinese Vietnamese Buddhist center. You may see people worship Buddha at gods, or they may have what they call, you know, fortune stick. You heard about that? They shake the stick, and the stick jump out to see whether it say about their fortune or fate. That's not Buddhist practice. That is Taoist practice. But we incorporate with those type of local tradition in China, Vietnam, Japan, and so forth. Each country has different or unique aspect of tradition and culture. So Buddhism blend and adapt with that type of culture, those culture instead of destroying. So that's why, especially even in China, they worship what they call the three sessions: Buddha, Confucius, and Lao Tzu. You know Lao Tzu? Yeah. So that's why it's pretty rare to have what they call religious conflicts of fighting or killing in the East. That's quite different from the West, because that type of what we call harmony, the religious harmony. Yeah. So that's here in United States, when Buddhism came again, we try to adapt the American culture. For me, I done many wedding ceremony and for maybe to include this couple. Yeah, I did it for them for so many years ago, more than 10 years ago. And at that, what do you know? Unity candle, you know about that?
Yeah.
We don't have that in our Vietnamese tradition, but I see that is so beautiful. It's so meaningful, right? When two candle, then two person join together, it's so beautiful. That's why I adapt that kind of American culture there into the Buddhist wellness ceremony. Probably all the Buddhist monk they may do, but not all. Yeah, so that's why we pick and choose the good ones so that we can have the kind of adaptation too. So we don't need to destroy, we don't need to run away and so forth, but we need to do that kind of adaptation to tradition that we are where we here, where we at with. Okay. Yeah, any question? Yes,
Would you explain your understanding of Dharma?
Dharma. Oh, okay. I repair. Let's see here. This one here, this is the charge. Right? Let's see here. Can you see too small? Too small. All right, let me try to enlarge this. Oh, what happened? I try to enlarge this. Where's it go? But it's so small. That's a Buddhist just sit there. This
You gonna try to help soon?
yeah, please. Yeah. So anyway, so those are the general teaching of Buddhism. When we talk about Dharma in Buddhist views, there's two meanings. The first one is within Buddhist tradition we call the Buddha teaching. Dharma is the Buddha teaching. Whichever teaching of the Buddha we call Dharma. That's why for the Buddhists, they take two refuge to the Buddha. Refuge means they are on the Buddha, the awakening one. Dharma just means his teaching. And the last one is Sangha, mostly the monastic community. And in the broader sense, when we talk about Dharma, this means include everything, include every phenomena in the universe. So that's two main meaning there. Okay. You have a question? Yeah, please.
Sure. I guess something that was on my mind throughout the sitting and walking was like how do we escape like everything that we like bring something like this? Some of us have experience with Buddhism, some of us don't. I just felt like myself measuring against people most of the time. Like, am I doing this right? That person's walking like this. That person's walking like that.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's a good question. In Buddhism, there's nothing wrong or right when we talk about Buddhist meditation. Of course, when we talk about morality, right, in the universal sense, in the common sense, how could you define what is wrong and what is right? And one of you, how could you define? Yes.
There's an external and an internal morality
Mhm.
within.
Yeah.
And we don't play by the rules of the external morality.
Mhm.
If we don't, it's a sin or it's an offense.
Yeah.
Your inner moral code is like a different domain of it, sort of.
Yeah. Anyone? Thank you. Anyone can let me know what's meant by wrong and right in the common term or universal term that can be accepted by any tradition. Yeah.
Wholesome and unwholesome, so what's wrong brings like unwholesome
Can you get that?
consequences.
That's okay.
So we could all say, stealing, right? Like we all universally know it is wrong to steal. Cause that is unwholesome, and then of course that brings for you karma, which is the cause and effect, so that's gonna in turn. You might get what you want, but then you might get caught or someone might steal that from you, so you're
the cause and effect would be unwholesome versus, going to your place of worship or your therapist or I don't know, wherever brings you peace and calmness. We can all agree that that is wholesome, and in your future, that's gonna plant seeds of good karma, so, and it's gonna bring you, good outcome.
I would say it's basically like what increases suffering is bad, what decreases suffering is good.
Simple, the common sense. That's why most of the tradition mention about the first four: no killing, right? No stealing, no such misconduct, and no lying. That's universal code, right? It can be accepted by any tradition. Of course, the last one in Buddhism is no alcohol, no drinking alcohol, taking intoxicant. But other tradition, right? In traditionalism, even the priest can drink alcohol, but not for us, because this is considered as the preventive precept. So go back to your question. So those are what they call the universal moral conduct that as human, we agree upon. Otherwise, it'd be chaos, right? Remember, I don't know whether who born before Katrina. You know Katrina? 2004, right? You know Superdome? You heard about that? The chaos, right? No one like to live in that type of environment, right? So we have, as humans, we follow certain type of orders, right? We follow certain type of moral conduct. So those are the basic conduct. When we talk about meditation, it's a little bit different. There's no right and wrong. Let's say the way you sit, and then the way I sit, maybe not right or wrong. It's right for me, but not right for you. Right for you, but not right for me. So it's different from moral conduct. You understand that? So everyone has different ways of conducting themselves, right? Look around here, no one wear the same clothes, right? Everyone has different style, different personality, and so forth. So that's what we call in Buddhism. We cannot judge people based on how they look, based on how they act, based on their race, and so forth and so forth. That's one of the most important principles in Buddhism when we practice meditation. Even we don't need to judge ourselves. I told my student many times that as someone has what we call self-criticism, that's so harmful. That is so negative. That's why we need to develop what we call self-compassion. You heard about that? And when you know what's self-compassion? The three components of self-compassion. You guys know? Before we have compassionate mind toward other people, we need to be compassionate to ourselves. You guys know about three components? No. It's so important. All right, let me type for you here. All right. So let's see here. Three components of self-compassion. Please remember, it's so important. See, self-kindness. If you're not kind to yourself, there's no way for you to treat others kindly. Right? And that's opposite to self-judgment, self-criticism. When, let's say, when you fail the class, the test, or when you have low score on the test, try your best not to criticize. Oh no, you bad, and so forth. In my mindfulness practice, I used to mention to my student that don't take. Remember, we used to say don't take it as personal. Remember that? When we have low score, doesn't mean that we bad person. No, we may make mistake on one test. We can do better. That's what we call self-judgment there, right? And the next one, common humanity with isolation. That's the problem with the one that has problem with depression. When we make mistake, that's human. That's why we're here. That's why we go to school to learn, right? If we perfect, we don't need to learn, right? That is what common humanity is about. Mindfulness here. Mindfulness, be mindful be mindful with the present moment. Let go of the past and the future. Stay with the present moment. Most of the time when we have stress, anxiety, depression, and so forth, because our mind swing back and forth between past and future. When we think about the past, we have some resentment toward the one that harmed us. When we think about future, we expect about outrage. That's where we have stress. That's where we have anxiety. So that's why self-compassion is so important with that kind of three components there. Okay. So before I move on to the next question, let me share with you one video clip I like you to watch. Okay, let's see here. Let me see here. Okay. All right. What happened? Okay, let's see. Oh. Okay. Here you can see I'm sorry. This one here.
For achieving what you want in life. There is a new report finding 40% of us now are turning to alternative treatments, especially meditation. And Dan Harris asked the questions about the growing proof that that works.
Meditation, once considered supremely flaky, is now being used by the Marines, by corporate executives from General Mills to Target to Google, by students in classrooms all over America, and now, according to this new study, by roughly 3 million patients on the recommendation of their doctors.
We weren't expecting to see such a high rate of referrals. That was really surprising to us.
Dr. Rex Hoffman recommended meditation to his patient, Danilo Ramirez, who had stage 2 lymphoma and was too claustrophobic to endure the treatments, which required wearing this large radiation mask. It worked.
It was beautiful that my mind was able to control my heartbeat, my breathing, my relaxation. I see us using it more with our patients.
The awareness of the breath.
Researchers say meditation doesn't just relax you, it can physically change your brain. Earlier this year, a Harvard study looked at people who took a mere 8-week course in meditation and found that these two parts of their brains associated with self-awareness and compassion actually grew, while this part associated with stress shrank. There are lots of different kinds of meditation, but the kind most doctors recommend does not involve wearing robes, chanting, lighting incense, or joining a religious group. What it does involve is 3 very basic steps. Step number 1, sit comfortably. Step number 2, focus on your breath. Feel it going in and out. Step number 3, when your mind wanders, which it will a million times, to things like, did I feed the dog? Where are my keys? And what am I having for dinner? Every time your mind wanders, just gently return to your breath. I've interviewed corporate executives who say meditation has made them more focused and effective. And one rock star who says it cured his stage fright.
If I wasn't meditating, if I still had so much stage fright, I might still be in my shell.
That's a pretty big change. So those people who had the good part of their brain plumped up. How long did they meditate a day?
Just 30 minutes a day. And there's some indication that if you do less, it will still work. And there's also all sorts of fascinating studies that show that meditation can reduce your blood pressure, boost your immune system, and even make you nicer.
Yeah. So this video clip is for 11 years ago, not last year. See that this here, 11 years, right here. And I forgot to right here, see that 11 years. This last couple of months, this article is just talk about let's see here. Even when you do meditation, that kind of meditation, of course you need to practice regularly. It can replace the medicine too, so that you would not have any kind of side effect. Yeah, it lasts a couple of months. I forgot that articles. Okay, so again, come back to your question. In meditation, we cannot judge ourselves, judge others. Just be with the present moment, go with the flow, so that we can relax ourselves to live with the present moment. When we live with the present moment, we will let go of our stress about our expectation or the good grade, or let go of the resentment of someone that have harmed us in the past. I used to tell my students, when you walk into the class to take the test, you have two attitudes. The first one is you expect yourself to have an A. That's common, right? The second attitude is that try your best to prepare for the test and accept any outcome. So which one is more healthy? It's the first one, the second one. Second one. But what happened? We do it reverse way, right? Usually we follow the first one. That's why in Buddhism, if we let go of that expectation, our mind more calm. When you walk into that room to take the test, if you have so much anxiety, and if you're so stressful, you may miss here and there, especially in multiple choice, right? Sometimes you circle the right answer, but later on you change your mind and circle the wrong one. This happens. That's why for me, since the time I'm teaching up to now for more than 10 years, I would not give my student multiple choice. I don't stress my student out because they have too much stress already. Yeah, I give them the assignment for them to write, to do the response, to write the essay, to do presentation. You understand now? Okay. Any question? Yes.
So I'm thinking about the theme of neighbor and how it's often we kind of, I feel like we go quickly to loving our neighbor, and it seems a little easy, and yet from little I know of Vietnamese tradition and the history, core tenet is resistance to violence. It's some kind of response to violence, and so when a neighbor is harmful, how do you practice non-harm? What is the response to cultural violence or even personal interactive violence?
You know, I used to tell my people and other people, especially my students too. Right before the COVID-19, we have what we call the conference for protecting the worship place at one of the largest church in Louisville here. So when we talk about how we protect our church, our temple, our worship facility, and so forth, so most of people, they say that it's okay for their members to carry guns into the church and so forth. But when it's my turn, I say there's no way for Buddhists to carry the gun, a weapon into the temple. We try our best to protect ourselves. We set up security camera and so forth. And if something happens, we call 911, and we can alert the authorities. That's more we can do to protect ourselves. Of course, when we have the special event, we hire some security guy to work around too. So that's how we protect. But again, you know, in Buddhist view, we never drag in the violent way, even when we deal with those people, the one that more aggressive. Yeah, because we recognize that everyone has good nature, and what in Buddhist term, Buddha nature. Everyone has that type of good nature, no matter who they are, no matter where they live, whichever race they are, and so forth. Even not talking about human beings, but even the dog, the cat, the animals, they have potential to become Buddha too. Right? You see, especially when you type on YouTube, right? You can see animal rescue human beings. And the dog so faithful, right? Some of may not be faithful, like that. Okay. So that's why in Buddhist view, we always will focus on the good side of humanity. We would not condemn anyone, whether they're good or bad. Good or bad depend upon their mentality, not because of their appearance, not because of their language, not because of their race and so forth. One woman, even for us, one woman, if somehow we cannot handle the situation. If somehow we're so stressful, we may have bad mind, right? May have bad thought that we want to harm others. If we happy, if we are calm, so it's easy for us to develop the loving kindness, compassion, and so forth toward all the people. That's why meditation is so important. That's what you can see. When you do meditation, it changes our brain. What they call, you guys know neuroplasticity? You heard that term? Right? Our brain is like the plastic. It can scream if we don't do anything, especially the elder one. And it may expand, right? It may develop more, depends on how we deal with that. Like we do exercise with our body. When we do meditation, we do exercise for our brain. So go back to your question again. You realize who they are. If they are aggressive or not aggressive, we try to treat them in compassionate way, in a harmless way. So that is the universal value in annihilation, right? Buddha teach that, God or Christ teach that type of teaching. That's universal value that we follow. That's what we hear. The more we talk about the common value, or we can say the common sense, this is supposed to come together. Otherwise, there's no way for us to sit here if we have different paths to go, different ideas. I met many pastors, many Catholic priests, and I used to mention about this. And actually, I have one good friend. He's Catholic priest. He's much older than me. Yeah, he used to invite me to go to his center, the Spirit Earth, to share with his group about meditation. And sometimes I invite him to have lunch here. So we have good connection. So everything is dependent upon how we interact with others. If we have calm mind, much easier for us to see things in a beautiful way. Especially we can see other people in the positive way. If we have some kind of what called mental affliction that we cannot control our stress, anxiety, so forth, it's not easy for us to deal with other people. That's why in Buddhism it's talk about the calmness, the mindfulness. That's the foundation of our mind, of our practice. Have question? Yes.
As someone who practices Buddhism, how would you define neighbors?
How you define neighbor? In which term? In which term? In what aspect?
From a spiritual or a religious perspective, who is your
In
neighbor?
the spiritual aspect or the secular aspect?
Spiritual, yes.
Spiritual, or whether spiritual or secular, is the same. If they are Buddhist, definitely, yeah, we work together. Even they're not Buddhist, we will welcome them too, with the open mind. So again, in Buddhist view, the only one that we can change is our mind, our body, our personality, our characteristics. We cannot change other. That's why in Buddhist approach, we don't go door by door to convert people. It's not necessary. That's up to them. It's up to them to change. Of course, we can give them the advice, suggestion, and so forth. But it's up to them to change. It's up to them to be Buddhist or non-Buddhist. That's their choice. You know, even the little children, they run around here, we don't force them to be Buddhist. Even they come from the sincere Buddhist families, because we respect their right. So that's why in Buddhist approach, it's not necessary for us to go out and convert people. Whenever they're ready, they come. So I used to tell my students, so when I walk into the class, I tell them that my job here is to share the Buddhist idea, principle, and practice. And then it's up to you to learn or not. That's your choice. If you want, you can walk away, you can drop my class. So it's much easier for me. But if I have intention to convert them, it's a different story. Of course, teach at university level, that's the rule, we cannot do that. But our Buddhist approach, we share and help others, not to convert others, not to dictate what they supposed to do. We don't judge them whether they're Buddhist or non-Buddhist. That's why many non-Buddhist, like Catholic, or Christian, they can learn Buddhism. And like I mentioned about that Catholic priest, many years ago, he went to almost every summer, he went to Buddhist monastery or temple to do meditation. And he learned from Buddhist practice meditation, and he came back to lead his followers. There's no problem. So meditation is not for everyone, not only for the Buddhists. So everyone can learn. You don't need to claim themselves as Buddhists, or we don't need to convert people unless they're ready. That's our approach. Yes.
Can you tell us about the statue with the many arms?
Oh, okay. All right, that's strange for you, right? Yeah, that is just symbolic way, what we call the 1,000-hand, 1,000-eye Bodhisattva. We have 2 hands. We can hold 2 items in our hand, right? But what for that Bodhisattva, they have 1,000 hands. It's just symbolic way. It's not from 1 to 1,000. No, it's just symbolic way that this Bodhisattva can have sentient beings in other ways. Like if you have if people have high position in society or nation, like president, governor, and so forth, they have all kind of responsibility, right? It's just symbolic way to express. You have, yeah. Yes. Yes.
First one is when you're so are you saying that Buddhism can live like in harmony with another faith tradition in like the same house? Like someone could, like you said, the priest was Catholic, but could practice, could use some Buddhist practices, and then that is not in any way incorrect to Buddhism.
So what's the question then?
So most people believe that you can't be Christian and Muslim at the same time. And I'm asking, but from a Buddhist lens, you could do Buddhist practices as a Christian or as that's
I think I like to pull out this. Let's see again. Sorry. Oh, how can we get back? All right, right here.
Yeah, can I say something?
Oh, okay. Let's see.
The Buddha designed the Buddhist path for everyone. So there is versions of Buddhism that go across cultures, honestly, across and mix with different religions of certain areas, like the Buddhist. You can be choose to live the Buddhist path, but still have some sort of other faith as well.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
It's not
very
always possible in other faith traditions.
Yeah, it's very flexible. It's and in fact, there's an American or a Western application of Buddhism they call secular Buddhism that is stripped of all sort of like religious or cultural aspects of Buddhism and just focus on the Eightfold.
You see that, Tom? You know what I mean?
Jewish Buddhist.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can be Buddhist and Jewish at the same time. You can be Buddhist and Christian at the same time. You can be Buddhist and Catholic at the same time. It's up to you. That's your choice. That's your choice. So, who have children here? All right, some of you. So I think in American culture, right, we respect our children, right? We cannot dominate and dictate what our children want to study, right? So there's religion. We cannot dictate that, oh, if you don't follow my tradition, you bad, you go to the hell. We don't condemn that. It's their choice. In education, in politics, in religion, we go the same way. That's why we can live in harmonies. If we condemn each other, there's no way, right? There's no way for us to work with someone that have that type of negative attitude, right? That's why if we want to work together, I know that is why we come here. as in good neighbors, good communities. We talk about the common sense. We share the common value, the universal value. We cannot judge other people based upon whichever way they live, whether their religion, their politics, their education, their race, and so forth. That is for us to communicate with other people in a harmonious way. Make sense now? That's the like to your question.
Yeah.
That's remember, please remember that from Chubu.
Well, I wonder because when I lived in Japan, every household had a Shinto shrine and a Buddhist shrine.
You see that?
And they were easily.
Yeah.
They could fly.
That's why it's pure rare. It's happened, but it's pure rare to have some kind of religious conflict or fighting in the East because of that type of principle, the harmonious principle there.
If I could add, yeah, even when Lord Buddha was still alive, like in ancient India, there were already a bunch of other religions. And so he would have like followers who would come and be like, well, we were following this other teacher before you. What should we do? And he was like, well, if their teachings are good, you can still go see them. You can still support them. That's fine. And there's another instance, there's other stories where like, you know, they weren't really Hindus yet. It was like a more of a word that the Westerners gave them, but it was like the old Vedic religion, like the Brahmins. There's like a Brahmin who comes to the Buddha and he's like, some of the stuff you teach agrees with what we say and some of it disagrees. What's the deal with that? And the Buddha was like, well, I agree with the parts that are true and I disagree with the parts that aren't. Yeah, so there's always been a lot of blending like throughout the ages. Even like a lot of people, like when the master had that map up earlier that showed Buddhism actually spread a little bit west of India into Central Asia, like modern day Pakistan, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan. And those places were actually conquered by Alexander the Great. And there was a time period in ancient history where like the Hellenic gods like Hercules and those guys actually blended with Buddhism in ancient times. So yeah, it's Taoism, Shinto, Hinduism, a bunch of indigenous religions like in Southeast Asia, like just people who worship like nature spirits or whatever. All that's fine because like Buddha was just like, you know, respect other people's religion. He specifically told people to respect all the other religions and to respect the other gods, and it should all be fine, you know.
The Buddha never claimed to be a god, and he's revered as a teacher. So there's a lot of reverence throughout Buddhism for Buddha, but because of that, there's usually no conflict in any other belief system. You can take the practices of mindfulness and meditation and loving compassion to every system out there.
Yeah. Any more question?
I have a question.
I was gonna say, there's one up there.
Yeah.
The person up there.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Hi, no, it's okay. Quick question. So I know to liberate ourselves, you have to kind of touch on your suffering and to really inspect that, like what's causing my suffering and the different elements of it. But once I recognize, okay, these are the reasons why I'm suffering, this is the root of my suffering, what do I do with that? What is the next step? Because I have, you know, the basis of why I'm suffering, but I'm not really sure what to do next with that. Like, how do I continue on to my path of liberation?
Yeah. Okay. That's actually this relate a lot of principle, but the main thing is that the Buddha talk about what they call here is too small for you guys, right? What they call the Four Noble Truths. The first one is the true suffering. That's universal. We born, we have some type of illnesses, we getting older, and one day we have to go. That's universal, regardless of who we are. That's physically happen to us. And mentally, we have all kind of emotional, psychological fluctuation, like stress, anxiety, and so forth. Right. So those are what we call the first one. the true suffering. And second one, the Buddha say that those kind of suffering root in our craving, our anger, our ignorance. That's why the third one, the Buddha say that, okay, that's the suffering, but the other side is the happiness. The last one, the Buddha provide what we call the Eightfold Paths. Okay, right here. No, yeah, Eightfold Paths right here, including right mindfulness, right concentration. Like I just show you the video clips about meditation. When we calm our mind, when we let go of those kind of attachment to the past, future, our mind more calm. That kind of calmness is our present happiness there. Of course, we talk more about that too. So again, go back to your question. This we do step by step without meditation. This you can say without Buddhism will not exist. I used to mention to my students, if you study Buddhism without practicing meditation, you would not know much about Buddhism. It's like if you pass the permit, but if you don't take the driving test and you don't drive, no way for you to know how to handle the car. It's so practical. Make sense? So you have to go hand in hand. That's why the more you do the practice, the easier for us to recognize that we can control our mind. Everything comes from the mind, but it's good or bad. It makes sense, right? Makes sense? Okay. Any question? Any more question?
I think that's so hard coming from like a Christian upbringing of just I felt like the understanding was going to come through a cognitive understanding of what was being spoken to me or read. And so when I explore Buddhism, I feel that I've come to this place now where it's like, okay, now I'm just supposed to sit. And that feels hard. Because I feel like I like the searching part, the reading part, the listening to teaching part.
Here, one thing I want to emphasize too in Buddhism is talk about how we change ourselves, how we change our mind. If we have the capability, especially through meditation, we would be the owner of our life, the owner of our karma. Look, the way that we want to be Christian, to be Catholic, to be Buddhist, to be doctor, to be pastor, and so forth. Who decide for that? We. Right? We the one. Of course, our people can give us the support, suggestion, the guideline. But if you don't want, like if you don't want to be pastor, there's no way, right? No way for people to force you, right? So you are the one that determine who you are in Buddhist view, right? Otherwise, if we rely on other people, oh, I become pastor, become a Buddhist monk, I become a doctor, so because of my parents, because of whoever, won't last long, right? I used to tell the story of one of my followers who live in St. Louis. When he finished high school, yeah, he got full scholarship to pre-medical school, but when he went there, the first semester, he failed everything. And later on, yeah, he talked with me and his parents, and so we encouraged him to go whichever major he liked. So he went to study to be a teacher, and he's so successful. So my point in life, it is applicable in every aspect of life. We are the main one to determine who we are, to determine our personality, our education, our status in society and community and so forth. Other people, well, whether our parents, whether our pastor and so forth, they just support us. They cannot dictate our life. If we let them to dictate our life, that means we're so dependable. And there's no way, no one like to live with that type of life, right? That's why we don't like to live in the communist country, right? The government dictate the decision to do whatever they want us to do. No, we don't want that. Everyone have that type of freedom. We love that type of freedom, whether it's the religious freedom or political freedom and so forth. That's Buddhist approach. Everything we start from within, not from without. That's why meditation help us to know, to guide us to know who we are. If we don't know who we are, there's no way for us to know others. If we don't have diploma, if we don't have a degree, there's no way for us to teach. Yeah. Right. If you don't pass the test, right, the class, there's no way for you to go further. Right. So my point is that in Buddhist view, everything is passed from within, not from without. Make sense now? Okay. Any question? Yes.
Just want to know why there's a dragon in the closet.
Holidays.
Which one? Which one is that? Oh, dragon. Oh, you missed that. That's a week ago, or September the 3rd, we have the big celebration here. Our children, our youth, they play that. They play dragon dance and lion dance. So the next one. Yeah, his dad is on the team. She loved to call me because she enjoyed the land dance there. Yeah. So the next one will be October 22nd.
October 22nd?
October 22nd. You can come on Sunday. All right.
Question, what do the kids get together, like, together with like a meditation?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Yeah, the reason why we have after school program, because now they helping them to do homework, so we guide them to do meditation to calm the mind and to learn some moral story, moral conduct. That's all. It's like the church. And of course, Sunday we have the meditation and teaching session for them too. Yeah. Okay. Any question? Have my card here. If you like, you can take, and this is our schedule here. You like
Thank you.
Thank you. So we will come anytime. You can come, okay? Yeah, you can take the schedule and we can.
Community plan. How do
Thank you. So and Stephen, can you hear?
Yes, more thing.